Okay, here we are. We're live. I'm Kate Lincoln-Goldfinch.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Pearsall Lippincott.
And we have just finished. I'm getting emotional.
Really, really rough interview with a lady. I just held this lady who's just crying uncontrollably for her 10-year-old son, and all I could think of is, what if it was me? What if it was my kids? Because it could be my kids.
Yeah, I mean, there but for the grace of God go we, right?
All of us.
So here we are. This is the T. Don Hutto Detention Center in Taylor, Texas. It's named after T. Don Hutto, who was the founder of the Corrections Corporation of America, or CoreCivic, which is a private prison company that's housing asylum seekers.
So they're making money off of this.
And I'm not new to this. Elizabeth is new to this work.
It's my first visit.
We are here doing intakes with mothers who have had their children taken from them. And to start our visit, it took us about an hour to get inside the detention center because we had multiple hassles. So we're both attorneys. We brought our driver's licenses and our bar cards, and a translator who speaks an a rare indigenous language from Central America.
Right.
This is an interpreter who flew out on a whim to help us communicate with our client, who does not speak Spanish. He arrived yesterday, and we immediately faxed over his information to the detention center. And despite having received it yesterday, we were told today that he could not enter, and he could they could not call anyone to get him cleared. ICE doesn't work on the weekends, and neither does the person who does the clearances.
Yeah.
So he had to leave. The next hassle, well, we had to leave everything in our car. We couldn't bring our water bottles or our bags or anything like that, or our dollar bills to get.
Yeah, only coins.
Only coins. And then they said we weren't going to be able to come in because of our outfits.
Yeah, because our super revealing sleeveless lawyer outfits.
That's right.
Just don't cut it.
Yeah, you see our shoulders are showing, and so that's...
Kate was told to tug her skirt longer because it was...
And maybe you can, here, hold the camera.
Model for him, Kate.
This is my outfit. So revealing that I was not allowed to go into the detention center looking like this. So we had to go out to the car and get a shawl to cover ourselves.
I asked if they required head coverings, and they didn't think that was funny. I thought it was funny.
And then we started our meetings, and we met with, how many women did we meet with? Four. And I would say the last one was the hardest. This poor mother started sobbing as soon as she sat down with us. And she said what you can all imagine. She was saying and wailing, "Where's my son? I want my son."
Mi corazón, he's my heart.
He's
her baby.
My only son. They took him from me. She's terrified that she's never going to see him again. That she's going to get deported without him, which
she doesn't even know where he is.
Totally possible. I tried to comfort her and say, if he is released to a family member, she has a family member in the United States. I said, if he gets released to that family member and you trust that person, that person can bring him back to you. So try not to worry. But you know what? This is a woman who suffered domestic violence in her country over a period of years, and was not helped by the police in her country because her husband had family members in the police. And she is exactly the kind of woman that Jeff Sessions is trying to keep out in his decision. called Matter of AB from 2 weeks ago, where he held that victims of domestic violence should not qualify for asylum. Here we are. So we didn't want to talk to each other. We got in the car, and I'm trying to hold it together in the meeting with this woman because it doesn't help her for me to sob, but.
And I promised you I wouldn't cry till after, so I was like...
Elizabeth did better than I did.
I don't know.
But we wanted to just come out and sort of we didn't even talk to each other. We drove around the corner because, of course, they won't let us record anything in front of the detention center. So we drove around here and just started recording and talking about it because we wanted you guys to feel it with us. So we're going to go home to our babies.
Yes, we are.
And hug them a little bit tighter. And I want to thank all the people in America who have been outraged by the policy of family separation, because I don't think the policy would have shifted if there weren't so much public backlash. And that's the only sort of heartwarming thing that's come out of all of this is all of the people who are just horrified that we're taking children away from their parents. And you contacted our leaders in the government to let them know how you felt about it. There's still a lot of work to be done connecting the lost children to their parents, and then we're bracing for a fight ahead of detaining asylum seekers and families and children for indefinite periods. So stay engaged in the issue. The injustice is not over. That's it.
Yeah, and if you see somebody different from you, like in the store or walking down the street or whatever, just be nice. Just don't show each other that we're not this country, that we're better than this.
When you look at the history of immigration in America, there's a quote from Benjamin Franklin in the founding years where he says, all of these Germans are coming into our country, I'm paraphrasing, of course, and they're speaking their own language, and they're going to take us over instead of us taking them over.
Right.
The Germans, you guys, and then the Irish, and then the Chinese, and then the Italians. All of these groups have been completely marginalized and hated, and vilified, and feared, and thought of as rodents and insects and pests, and this is another wave of that.
Yeah.
And so
it's the ancestors of most of us.
That's right. So just think about that. If you're
it's
one
our
of the
families.
people who is not worried about what's happening to these families because they are so other, just think about your own ancestry and how your grandparents and great-grandparents would have been treated in America.
Yeah.
This isn't who we are, but we all know that. So anyway, here we are. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
See you soon.
Thanks. Keep up the fight.
Woohoo!